Let's get into some shite. Hi, my friends. Welcome to Apocalyptic, the podcast that doesn't know what the heck it's doing. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. You're sitting in traffic. Someone wants to come out in front of you. You got a lot of people behind you. What do you do? Look, I know we all want to be nice. We want to let the people out. 1, 2, maybe 3 cars. I don't know. I don't know. There's this thing about being nice, and they're sitting there looking at you like, okay, come on, can I get out? Huh? But here's the thing. You let them out, they get in front of you, and then you're going to cut somebody off in the back that's going to miss a light because you let that person out in front. Which is the thing to do? Are you supposed to be nice and let the people out so you can be an ass and cut the people off behind you? They've been sitting in line for a while back there now. Which do you want to do? Which is the proper thing? We all want to do the right thing. Just ignore. Here's the thing. You just don't make eye contact because they're begging. They're looking at you. Please, come on, please. I don't know what to do. And there's sort of this... Well, first of all, you got to feel some kind of responsibility for your own people, the line you're in. These people are with you. They're like part of your team. They're in your little convoy. They're lined up behind you. And then you break it, letting someone else in. This person's not with you. They're over at the side. Who knows what they've been doing? And they're not interested in your position at all. They act like they are. They just want out. They want to get in front of you so that they can get out. It's at the expense of your team. You're letting the people out to cut people off behind. I feel bad. So I don't know. Should we feel good that we were nice and let them in, or should we feel bad that we let the faithful people of our team get cut off at the light because we let them out? Apocalyptic, you're listening to the podcast Apocalyptic. Look, I'm going to do something I don't normally do on the show. I just want to do a greeting to new people. If you happen to be listening to this podcast and I don't know why you did it, no one knows. People do things they're ashamed of all the time. If you found this podcast and you started listening to it, welcome, first of all, and I apologize, second of all, for this podcast. But seriously, no, I'm glad you're here. We're all glad you're here, right? Everyone's glad that you're here. You might be the only person listening. No one listens to the show. If you found it, it's like treasure hunting on the beach, and you find something from the 1960s. No one's seen it since then. It's buried under the sand. That's what it's like. You found something from the 60s. Me. And you unearthed it. And now you have to see if it has any value. So take it around to some pawn shops, antique shops, experts possibly. Talk to your grandparents. Say, is this worth anything? See what they say. I'm willing to bet they're going to say no. I'm pretty sure. Just sell it at a flea market. Well, here's the thing. If you are new, welcome. This is a podcast about, I don't even know what it's about. I've been doing this podcast now, pretty sure we could say a year. I still haven't found the exact date because I keep forgetting. But no, I don't think I started until November. So we're not yet at a year, but we will be. And I still don't know what it's about. I know when I started the podcast, kind of what I thought it was going to be about. And then I got distracted And then this is what happened. And that's okay. I like it. I enjoy it. So there's a few things in my life that I really enjoy anymore. I'm ready to kind of just give it all up, but not the podcast yet. We'll keep the podcast for a little while. But I do have something for you if you are a listener to the podcast, and that's our listener line, often called the digital lap line. People have referred to that as the digital lap line for centuries now. And the number is 678-348-0008. You can call that listener line, or do like our regular listeners do and never call. Don't ever call that number. It's there for you if you want to call. Here's the thing. You see, you could call and you could say, you could talk about anything that you want. You could talk to me. You could talk about anything on the podcast. You could comment on something on the pod. You could start a whole new line of discussion on the podcast if you want. It's there for you. It's a line there for you. And if you call and leave a message, that it's recorded, and then I'll put it on this podcast so people can hear you. If you want. If you don't want, just text it. I think you could just text it, and I'll read your text to preserve your privacy. Maybe you're in the witness protection program. Maybe you're married to someone you don't, their career or your career could be heavily damaged by people knowing that you listen to this podcast. You don't want your name out there. You could choose another name, Bartholomew. Mary Jane. Just pick a name. I don't care. And you could use that name or text it and I'll read it. Or if you just don't want me to read it at all, or if you want me to read it but you don't want your name, you could just send me an email, rick@apocalyptic.com, and say, here, Rick, here's something I have to say. Don't let people know I did this. Don't say my name. I'm also on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. YouTube. I think that's it, right? This is what we do. This is how we hang out. This week, this has been a really weird week. All right, so the last week, and let me just say for the new people too, we try a new show. I try to do 2 shows a week, although I haven't succeeded in that in a little while. But I will be getting back onto the 2 shows a week. Right now, I'm getting 1 out a week, and that's a triumph. That's a success for me. And if you're listening to 1 show a week, it's a success for you, because I know you don't often do that. But it's out there. I'm trying to do 2, and I will get back on the 2 shows. I like Mondays and Thursdays. That's what our original schedule was. Currently, I'm doing 1 that comes out on Wednesdays, although today is Thursday. And there's kind of I just pinched my thumb while I'm doing a podcast. See, all right, I'm not even going to go into it, but let's just say I think it's a punishment for not doing the 2 shows. Today's a Thursday show, and I'll try to get back. I'll try to do a Monday and a Thursday. Let's see if I can do a Monday and a Thursday next week, okay? We'll make that a goal. This is a busy week. Last week on the podcast, I told you about a lot of things that are happening. I need to update you on those. Yesterday, we did say goodbye to our kitty. Our oldest kitty, Gazoo, is now, he's now underground. He's like a coal miner, except he's in a box. He was old. I think 17, my wife says. He was 17. And still fairly alert, but he couldn't get around. He had gone blind like the last 2 weeks of his life, last week and a half. Running into walls, running into things. He didn't like that at all. I tried to figure out ways just to kind of keep him settled. He's a big cuddler, so I just let him kind of cuddle him, and he liked that. He liked to eat a lot. Every 15 minutes he wanted to eat, like buffet, and we had to open a can for him, and then he would eat a little bit and then walk away. Every 15 minutes. It was expensive. His body just gave up. He was totally kind of appropriate for Halloween. He was like a skeleton kitty, at the end. I don't know what happened. I think he had maybe some kind of a thyroid condition or something. He just went completely skeleton. Cool little cat though, and I feel like it wasn't fun seeing him kind of waste away. And he was very stubborn, wanted to do everything his way, and he did up until the end, really, pretty much. But we felt like it was time to say goodbye. I don't like early euthanasia. I'm very, very cautious of that, and I kind of resist that. But it just seemed like the right time for him. His quality of life, he wasn't going to get any better, and he was going to get worse. And we didn't want to see him just really get worse. So it seemed like a good time. He went to sleep, and then he just didn't wake up, which is what I would like to do. Not tonight. But when it's time, you know what I'm saying? When it's time, I want my wife to call the vet and come in and give me the injection, and that's the way it goes. And speaking of that, we did have, there's this veterinarian that makes house calls. They do this euthanasia thing at your house. And that's like the good thing to do, because your animal doesn't have to, your friend, your pet, your family member doesn't have to go to a strange location to die. They could do it right there in your arms, in your own bed, just like laying there, letting them be right next to you, be quiet, put some music on, whatever. The environment is much less stressful for them. It's a great place for a transition. And so I like that. I like that mission. I like that job. I like that, calling that person. Very nice, very knowledgeable. So see if you have something like that in your neighborhood whenever it's time. I know some people lost some of my friends, I saw your Facebook post, lost your family members this week. And I totally sympathize. I have compassion. I understand, because I went through the same thing. It seems like a lot of people going through that right now. I don't know why. What is it? Why? What about the fall? Is it just like time? It's just like, I don't want to go through the winter. I'm giving up. I don't know. I think for me, if I choose, I'm going to say late winter or spring. Let's do it then. On my birthday. Let's do that. Can I do that on my birthday? Yeah. I don't know. I guess as you get older, you think about it a little more. I do. I'm not scheduling it. It's not something I'm afraid of, but I do start thinking about that, and the fact, I don't know, in my head, I start subtracting time. I know how long my dad lived. I know how long my grandfather lived, almost the exact same time, which for me, it's just like, okay, does this mean one generation, second generation? Does this mean third generation gets to do the same thing at that age? I hope I live longer, but you know what? I'm not taking care of my body. I'm not taking care of myself. I might not even make that. Not good. But I don't know. That's something you think about as you start getting older. I don't feel old. That's the thing. You just don't feel it. But time at some point is going to expire. I don't know what that's going to be like, but we'll find out at some point. We are definitely going to find out. Went to Pride Parade this past weekend. Holy crap, that was so much fun. Maybe one of the biggest that I've been to. So many people, partying going on. As you know, I've talked about it a lot of time. In Atlanta, it's the biggest party and the most fun party. Road Marta, which is it's like Subway, but above ground. If you've been to Disney World, it's a lot like a monorail with potty everywhere. But man, it was packed. So many people. I had to touch people I think in normal situations I would never touch or think about touching. And probably they with me too. But you just got to get close. It's like you're going to go, if you want to party, touch the people. That was always my mottos for my parties. But it was fun. Big, tons of people. Got to take a few pictures. And yeah, it was great. I did see some boobs. Here's the thing. Some people, and here's why I like Pride, and it's generally why I like Atlanta anyway. It's because you're forced to deal with things you probably wouldn't deal with in other cities and other places. Now, if you're in Chicago, New York, LA, forget it. Just ignore what I'm saying. But Atlanta in the South, I grew up in mostly, I guess, red states. And Atlanta is in a red state, but it's not really a red city. It's very it's multicultural. It's very diverse. It's very you just get exposed to a lot of stuff that you wouldn't in other smaller cities in the South. This is a big city in the South, but a smaller city in the South. And I know, let's just say Nashville. Nashville has a big pride parade, but I can't imagine it's anything close to Atlanta. I haven't been, but Atlanta's so over the top. But the kids, the young kids, the young people who just want to take off their tops, the young ladies, and at Pride, now they do have the stickers of the nipples barely covering, but I'm okay with it. Don't have a problem with it. Here's what I do have a problem with. There was a one section where they made all of the preachers stay in that section, and so they stayed on their loudspeakers and they made sure they told the people they're going to hell, and that God hates them and is going to judge them and all of that stuff. I don't know if they actually got anybody on their side. I feel like the marketing is a little flawed. I don't think I would have gone. So here's what I thought. I was just like, because I've been on both sides, and I know. I've been on there was a time I would have been gladly standing on the religious side, telling people they're going to hell. I wasn't that judgmental, but I was on that side. And so there's like the barrier, those big old glow in the dark barriers that they put in the middle to try to block concrete wrapped in plastic. Yeah, that was there. And I just thought one side of the barrier is love, and the other side is hate. And I just thought, which one do you join? Which looks the most attractive to you if you're in that crowd? Do you go to the Pride Parade thinking, wow, I really would like to get on the side of hate. I've been trying to figure out how to do it for years. I don't know. I don't think that I just feel like the recruiting is not well thought out. And one guy, young guy, preacher guy, he looked like he was in his 30s. His entire preacher message was about babies. And it was gay people cannot have children. So we're in danger of the population is in danger with homosexuality because you can't reproduce. That was his entire message. I'm not sure if he just thought this out the day before. Maybe he had, they're like gave him an assignment. They're like, look, dude, we really need to get people over here. Our membership's falling. It's just off. And I there's a lot of pressure. I feel like you can do this. So come up with something. And that guy like the night before, he's like, look. I have the message. I'm confident this is going to win them over. I know. Just wait till you hear it. And then he comes out with the you need babies. That was his whole message. And I looked around and people were laughing at him. No one there was thinking about having a baby. They might have been thinking about what you do to have babies. But here's the thing. I know a lot of gay people who have children. He's so out of touch, he doesn't understand that gay people are raising families. We're not in any danger right now. The population is not in trouble. But that was his angle. And he just went on with it for a long time. And I don't know. I guess the judgment thing's not working. I guess they run back and they're like, I don't know, that didn't work really well, did it? No. Next year, let's come up with like a dinosaur. People love dinosaurs. Can we work dinosaurs in somehow? They are dinosaurs. Oh man, just stay home, right? Let the sinners have their one day. You don't have to be there telling everybody they're going to hell. We know we're going. Anyway, it's fun. Next year, make a trip. Stay overnight. It's worth it. Well worth it. Totally worth it. To pay to be in a hotel to attend Atlanta Pride. It's the largest Pride festival in the South, and I don't know what that includes. I don't know where the South is anymore. Kind of lost on that one. But anyway, come out and see it. Halloween is coming up. I'm still doing storytelling. I was working on that, and it worked out. And I've already done a weekend. This weekend, tomorrow, telling stories, Stone Mountain Park. Tour of Southern Ghosts is what it's called. I'm telling a story that I wrote myself, and I might do it on the podcast. I think I'm working on that. I think I'm going to be able to do it. But anyway, that's happening, and that's been interesting. It's been fun. I was having some trouble with memorization. I was just thinking, I'm washed up. Because I'm a theater major. I used to do plays. I haven't done them in a while. 15 years retirement for me, and been doing other things. And so I tried to memorize my story. It sucked. I was just not doing it. I was worried. I was like, this is not going to happen. I'm old now. I'm falling apart. I can't have babies. I can't populate. I'm too old to have babies. The entire population is in danger just as much with the homosexuals as it is with me, because I'm old. I'm not gay. I might as well be. And I can't memorize my stuff. That's my calling. I can't even do it. What am I going to do? But I did it. I memorized it, and it's great. So you get to that point. Here's the thing: when you're an artist, whether you're playing piano, playing guitar, dancing, or acting or whatever, you want to get to that point where you don't have to think about your stuff anymore. You don't want to have to think about the notes. You don't have to think about the song. Where are you putting your finger on the keys, on the fretboard? You don't want to think about that. You have to get to that point where that becomes second nature. And then once that becomes like way back, it's not even in your brain anymore, then magic can start happening. You could start creating. And that happens with acting too. You have to memorize your words, and that's really, really difficult. You have to memorize your actions. And then you get to a point where you can forget those because you know it so well, and then you could just kind of start creating. You don't make new stuff up necessarily, unless you're in improv, but just how you deliver and the communication you have changes. And I felt that started happening. It was awesome. Amazing. So I got to experience that. So I know I'm doing it again this weekend and possibly next weekend. The next weekend hasn't been established yet. This weekend has. So looking forward to it. If you're in the area, maybe come by Stone Mountain Park and I'll tell you a few stories. Halloween coming up. The Halloween Parade in Atlanta, Little 5 Points Halloween Parade coming up this weekend. One of my favorite events of all time. Considering not going, but I think I will. I've got a few little conflicts, and I don't know, but I'm going to try to make it. I really want to go. It's always fun. It's hectic. Here's the thing about Pride. From the time I got on the train, went downtown, 2 hours at the parade. I left early. It would have gone on another 2 or 3. Leaving, getting on the train, and getting back here, from that entire time, not one time did I stop smelling weed. I just feel like weed should be the official weed of Atlanta. It's just, weed is just always present. It used to, like when I was young and lived in Knoxville, it was just beer. I smelled beer at every event. Now it's weed. It's I guess the same thing. But the Halloween parade, it's even weedier. There's so much weed. It's like double the weed. Double the fun, double the weed. But I want to go and take some pictures. I don't know whether I'm going to costume. Probably not. Might wear a kilt. I like to wear a kilt, and it's a good time of the year to do it. But when I wear a kilt, when I'm taking pictures, it attracts attention. People look at me, and I kind of want to be invisible when I'm taking pictures. I like candid pictures. Don't want people posing. So I haven't decided, but yeah, that's happening. I did decide this about Halloween. Here's what's interesting about the holiday of Halloween, and maybe it's true for you too. There's a lot of stuff in Halloween. I mean, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of characters. Let's just say, like Christmas, you have essentially two characters, possibly three. So you have the secular character and the religious character. You have Jesus, and then potentially Mary, but let's just say Jesus, and then the secular Santa. Jesus and Santa. Now, within that, you do have a few, Rudolph, the Grinch, Jack Frost, whatever. But for the most part, those two characters. Valentine's Day, one character, you have the little naked baby with the bow and arrow that enacts violence in order to bring love. A very American holiday. It brings love out by shooting you. A nude baby shoots you and makes you fall in love. Is there any more American holiday than that? Easter, same thing. Jesus and the bunny that brings candy and eggs. All right, this is weird, but anyway, Halloween is always like that. Let's just say Thanksgiving, pilgrims, and turkey. All right, turkey's kind of a character. Ham, maybe, I don't know. Food. Indians, pilgrims, food. That's Thanksgiving. And your uncle. So Halloween is packed full of all kinds of characters, right? Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, witches, zombies, mummy, whatever kind of scary pumpkins, any kind of scary things you want to stick in there. Everybody, I mean, just go to a Halloween party. There's like tons and tons and tons of characters. It's like cosplay. Everybody's bringing characters. I saw one year at the Atlanta Halloween parade, somebody dressed like Colonel Sanders, one of the best looking Colonel Sanders characters I've ever seen at a Halloween thing. It's not scary, but it doesn't matter. It's scary if you're a chicken, but just normally not that scary. But it doesn't matter. Everything is a character. Everything is Halloween. But here's what I discovered about Halloween: the archetypal characters, vampires, monsters, witches, things like that. I think it's the only. Well, no, not really. I was thinking it's like the celebration of hundreds of things that I just don't believe in, like ghosts or whatever. And then I started thinking most holidays are celebrations of things I don't believe in. And it's almost like somebody just sat around and said, "All right, let's have a national holiday for things that people don't believe." I was like, do we have a Bigfoot holiday? We could do that. We could have a Bigfoot urban legend holiday, like the little naked babies. No one believes that babies fly around in wings, do they? And most of the stuff in Halloween, we don't believe. Most of it now, like I know there are witches, but practitioners of the Wiccan religion. They're very different from the Halloween witches. Most people don't believe in those witches, the hags, the old Macbeth hags. Sorry, I said Macbeth. But no one believes. Most people don't believe in that. We don't believe in monsters, zombies that come back to life, ghosts. There are people who believe in ghosts. We'll talk about that. Vampires, I know there's an element of truth in vampirism, and maybe, no, not werewolves. I know there's legends about werewolves, but there's so many things about that. The dead the dead don't come back to life. They just don't. And I know it's fears. There's no walking skeletons. I saw a drawing of somebody killing a skeleton, sticking a knife through them. How does that work? They don't have any organs. What are you killing? You're scraping their bones? Does that kill a skeleton? No. I learned that when I was like 10. So I don't know. It's all of that stuff is ridiculous. It's just stuff for us to that plays on our fears, for us to be afraid of. And it's kind of a challenge. I believe that's what I think Halloween is. Basically just thumbing your nose at fear. Things that we're normally afraid of, we'll pull them out. We'll relate to them. We'll associate with, and we'll even become, in some cases, just to show, look, I'm not that afraid of this. And then the rest of the time, we wouldn't walk into a scary house. But there's something about Halloween that's kind of interesting. We just pull out all of these crazy, scary, fiery monster characters. And I think it's like the only holiday that has that many characters I just don't believe in. I'm not a ghost believer. Do you believe in ghosts? Some people do believe in ghosts. I don't. I won't get, maybe we'll talk about it. I should have somebody who's like into ghosts here, and we could talk about that. If you know of anybody, point 'em my way. I could have like a ghost guest. That would be kind of fun. I'm not a believer in ghosts. I'm not a believer in demons, evil spirits, gods, angels, devils, any kind of magical creatures. I'm not a believer of any of that stuff. I don't like to believe anything that you cannot see ever. Now, if I could see a skeleton walking around, coming in here, challenging me to a duel for me to stab it, okay, I'll believe. I'll believe that. I just don't believe in things I cannot see or can never, ever, ever be proven. So I tend to just kind of stay away from that. But it is fun, right? It's fun. You don't have to believe in Santa to enjoy Christmas. You don't have to believe in turkeys. Turkeys? What is that? To enjoy Thanksgiving. We never turkey. I believe in the tofu. That's what comes to my house. And little naked babies that shoot things at you. But it's still fun. It's still fun. Halloween is fun. So I hope you have a great one. It's coming up. And if you want a story, I'm going to try to arrange to do my story for you coming up. All right. We're running a little bit long. I knew it was going to run a little long, but I have a couple more things I want to talk about this week. For whatever reason, I become highly sensitive to, aware of, just adults acting like idiots. Why is this? I don't know if it's just the time of year. I don't know if it's something I'm just more aware of, or if it's actually happening more often. Maybe as I get older and I see people who are adults but a little younger than me that just still acting like idiots. But it's not just that, because there are people my age and older acting like idiots. And it's happening in the government, people that we put trust into to be in positions of power. It happens with, I'm watching lunatic preachers, people who are in front, how do these people get in positions to be the representatives of anything? They're horrible representatives. We have a decent government. We have a government we have a country that's great. Why are we putting idiots in charge? Are they the only ones who want to do it? And I was like, okay, you do it, I guess. I don't understand that. And then why are we going to churches with preachers who don't even understand the religion that they're supposed to be in charge of? Look, if you had look, I would say, and I mean this, the most effective preachers at the Pride Parade were the ones on the other side of the barrier. They were the ones holding flag. There was churches that were like on parade floats going down the middle of the street with signs saying, "We love you. You're accepted." You know, that's the gospel. That's what Jesus would have been doing. I wanted to tell those guys, I'm like, dude, you're on the wrong side. Jesus would be over here on this side of the barrier. Not over there screaming and like wearing a sour face and having signs that we hate you. Can you imagine Jesus carrying a sign saying, I hate you? He would do that to the religious people because that was what he did do. But he would be drinking wine and partying with the party people, you know? They were mad because that's who he was hanging out with. So I don't know. I'm seeing grown people just not handling the responsibility of being an adult very well. I know I don't. Maybe I shouldn't judge. You know, what's happening to us, people? Why are we falling apart now that we're supposed to be handling things? We're supposed to be raising human beings. We're supposed to be taking care of them. We're supposed to be in public. My wife deals with people at the hospital, grown people throwing poop. Grown-ups throwing poop because they're mad. Why? What society are we in? And I'm seeing this weird thing that happens, and I've seen it for a long time on social media. I have a word for it. I kind of call it bully posting, but it's just sort of, and I have to admit I've done it a little bit. I try not to. But you know that thing where it's just like, if you don't have my point of view, you might as well unfriend me right now. Stop following me. And I always just was like, that should be your responsibility. You stop following me. All right? I'm not going to do your work. If you don't like me, if you don't want me here because I don't agree with you, just dump me. Go ahead. I'm okay with it. I'm secure. But the reality is you get people on both sides that do that. It's just like, if that's the way you think, go ahead and unfriend me. And then the other side does the same thing. It's like, oh, I have to make a choice now of who I'm going to follow on Facebook. Okay. And that's what it is. It's a power thing in a sense. But what I'm seeing is, and I see it. So I've seen it all along. I'm not picking on any particular cause for sure. But when Ukraine got invaded, and it was all, everybody had Ukrainian flags on their Facebook for a while. It's like, I stand with Ukraine. And if there's a shooting, it's like, I stand with Florida. I stand with Arizona. I stand with whoever has experienced a shooting this week. And of course, the tragedy, the invasion, the aggression against Israel this week. And then you get that people are just like, if you don't stand with Israel, you might as well unfriend me now. And then today I find this person's just like going off about, I support Palestine 100%. Drop me now if you don't. I'm just like, you know what? I know I have compassion for everyone. I'm not for any aggression. I will stand against aggression. I'll tell you that. I stand with peace. I don't care who's doing it. You know, like 9/11 when it happened, I stood with the U.S. because I'm American, but I was not dumb. I know why it happened. I know the crap that politically that went on that made people mad enough to do that. I'm not saying it's excusable. It's not. But you can't just stand with someone and not think about how you got where you are to the point where you're standing with them. And it's not that easy all the time. You can't just say, I'm standing here with these people, and if you don't like that, it's just, you know what? Posting Facebook flags and posting that you stand with somebody on Facebook is not politics. It's not going to help anything. That whole conflict in Israel, not one of those, nobody in Hamas reads my Facebook post. I know it. It's not going to hurt. It's not, it makes my friends who stand with them feel better. and there's validity in that. I want my friends to feel supported. But if I have friends on both sides, and I have a point of view, I don't know that I need to make it public. I think I can still support people who need support. I think I can. I don't have to tell people that God hates them and that they're going to hell. I don't need to do that. It's not an effective thing. But I understand it. I understand that impulse. I understand that need for security. I understand you need your friends to get together with you, but I just feel like you also need to realize that it's not that easy. When you're dealing with racial issues, there are biracial people. There are people that have 4 races in their bloodstream. How are you judging them? How are you expecting them to judge this issue? It's not black and white, people. It's watered down sometimes. I don't think we can bully people into making a decision that makes us feel better just for social media's sake. That makes no sense. And I'm not saying don't take a stand. Please do take a stand where your heart leads you. And have the compassion to respect that from your friends, and not only just your friends, your community. Understand that there are Muslims, there are people who believe in freedom from Palestine, and they still love the Jewish community. They work together. It isn't black and white. You don't have to draw lines in the sand. I will take a stand against violence. I will take a stand against abusing people. I will take a stand against hate. If you have a point of view that you think, it's hard for me when you're really doing things to harm people. But if you truly believe that homosexuality is a sin, the act of is a sin, okay, we can talk. We can talk about that. If you're willing to talk about it. If you're just saying this is the way it is, take a stand or unfriend me, I mean, you're a waste of time. You're not contributing anything to society. I think there's too much of that. And I think Facebook and social media makes that really, really easy to do. We can I do it. I've deleted people from my Facebook friends list because they took a stand for a certain thing. I'm not going to get into it. But to me, it became something where it was just like actually harming people. And I understand this because in this aggression that just happened in Israel, it's just like a lot of people, especially if you're Jewish, you believe that you saw people die. Your own people die in aggression. But it's another thing. It's just like 9/11. It's like trace it back. Why did it happen? What caused people to feel that? What caused people to do that? Right or wrong, not saying. Just saying what caused it. And then what are you going to do to put down more karma for the future? It's just like now you see, it's just like revenge. We got to get revenge. We got to go back in. Then we got to do something worse to them. And that will never stop. And it's not going to get you anywhere. Our grandchildren are going to be taking stands on Facebook and expecting everyone to follow, because that's not going to stop. Okay. You do what you're going to do. Stop bullying people, all right? Some of us take a stand in a different way. We do. We care. And we do it in a slightly different way than maybe someone else. And that's okay. It's the way it happens. Is it okay? Is it all right? Are we okay? Sometimes we can let the cars out in front of us. And sometimes we have to say no because we're supporting the people on our team. That's the way life is. It works both ways. People, thank you for listening to my words. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to even, you don't have to agree or care about them. I understand that. It's just me talking. You can still be my friend and not totally, be in agreement. But I support you. That's the thing. The bottom line for me is I support you and I don't want any kind of harm to come your way. I don't want your way of life. As long as your way of life is not. So I watched one of my favorite movies this week. One of my all-time favorite movies, Mississippi Burning. Love it. I can watch it all. I mean, I save it for every couple years because I don't want it to get old. Such a wonderful movie. And we're talking about people whose way of life, it's like, don't come in and disturb our way of life. What's your way of life? Our way of life is keeping people from living their way of life. Okay, screw you. We're coming in and disrupting that. So I'm okay with that. If your way of life is putting other people down, keeping other people from having a way of life, okay, that's not a way of life. That's a way of death. So I'm okay with kind of jumping in there and putting a stop to that. But if you can't do what you do, you don't have to. You can be in a situation where things are happening that you don't believe in. All right, that look at a football game. Not everybody is a Christian. Not everybody wants to hear a prayer. Okay, it's so a moment of silence is great. You know why? Because it's a little bit inconvenient to you, and it's a little bit of inconvenience for me and anyone else. But it allows a little window of respect for some people to pray and other people to reflect. Just take a moment of silence. It's a great solution. It's a great idea. But then there are some people that go, no, we have to have it our way. We have to completely strike the moment of silence. We can't do it because it irritates me. Or I need more. We need the prayer. We have to have a prayer there. Those are the people that have the problems. All right? Those are the people that are like kind of bullying people to do what they want. And it's not cool. All right, people, I'm just going to quit right here. See, this is why I was doing like 2 shows a week. So I didn't have to do a long show. And now I'm doing a long show. So I'm shortening it right now. Reach out, say hi, just be a friend, and happy Halloween. Come by my house. I have candy. I have good candy too, chocolate. A lot of good stuff. I don't want to be stuck eating it. Come on.